So when you think about fossil fuel pollution, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably a smokestack, right? Or maybe the exhaust pipe on a car. But what if I told you that's not even the full picture? Not even close. A really important report from the International Energy Agency shows there's this massive source of emissions hiding in plain sight, and it's all happening long before we ever burn a single drop of fuel.
So what is this hidden source? I mean, think about it. The fuel itself hasn't even been used yet. So where could billions of tons of greenhouse gases possibly be coming from? Well, the answer is hiding in the journey.
Yep, the answer is all in the operations. We're talking about all the emissions that get released during the entire process of producing, transporting, and processing oil and gas. This is all happening way before it ever gets to you, the consumer. So first, let's really get our heads around the sheer scale of this problem.
So just how big is this problem, really? Well, the IEA crunched the numbers, and honestly, the result is staggering.
5.1 billion tons. That's the amount of greenhouse gases, and that's measured in what's called CO2 equivalent to account for really potent stuff like methane, that got released into the atmosphere from oil and gas operations back in 2022. And just to say it again, this is before anyone has even used the fuel.
To put that number into perspective for you, these so-called hidden emissions make up almost 15% of the entire global energy sector's output. That is a massive piece of the climate puzzle that, for a long time, has been kind of overlooked.
And here's something really crucial from the IEA's data. This problem is super concentrated. About half of all these emissions, they come from just two things: methane leaking out of leaky equipment and the intentional flaring or venting of natural gas. That's it.
Okay, so the problem is enormous, we get it. But the IEA doesn't just, point out the problem. They actually chart a path forward. And their benchmark for what success looks like is called the Net Zero Emissions by 2050 scenario.
Now, this isn't just some vague goal. The NZE scenario is a really detailed, step-by-step roadmap for the entire global energy sector. It's designed to give us a real fighting chance of limiting global warming to that supercritical 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold.
And to stay on that path, the scenario calls for some pretty drastic action by 2030. The industry has to cut its emissions intensity, that's basically the amount of pollution for every unit of energy they produce, by half. And doing that would lead to a massive 60% drop in the total amount of these operational emissions.
I know, a 60% cut by 2030 sounds almost impossible, right? But here's the kicker. The IEA lays out a practical 5-point action plan to get it done, and it uses technologies that exist right now.
And to really help you understand the true power of this plan, the IEA offers up a pretty stunning comparison.
Just let that sink in for a moment. Simply fixing the leaks and the waste in fossil fuel operations would have the exact same benefit for the climate as taking every single car, truck, and bus in the entire world off the road. It just shows you the incredible scale of this opportunity.
So, how is this even possible? Well, the plan really boils down to 5 key moves. 1. Go after methane leaks aggressively. 2. Stop all routine, non-emergency flaring. 3. Power all the facilities with renewable electricity. 4. Use carbon capture tech for the emissions that are hardest to stop. And 5. Start integrating low-emission hydrogen into the refining process.
Now, while all 5 of these are important, the IEA report is crystal clear about the top priority. They basically put a giant red circle around one of them: stopping methane leaks. It's the single most impactful and cost-effective thing the industry can do right now.
Okay, so we have the problem and we have the plan. Now for the final piece of the puzzle, bridging the huge gap between that plan and where we are today.
There's no shortage of ambition out there. We've got these big international agreements like the Global Methane Pledge. But the reality on the ground? It tells a totally different story. The IEA report says that despite all these promises, actual emissions from flaring and methane have stayed stubbornly high.
So closing this gap is gonna take a team effort. It's a two-pronged approach. First, governments have to set clear rules, ban routine flaring, require companies to find and fix leaks, and second, the industry itself has to make this a core part of its strategy, actually investing in the tech and the changes needed to finally bring these numbers down. Okay, so let's just do a quick recap. The problem. Operational emissions are a huge, often ignored piece of the climate puzzle, making up about 15% of the energy sector's total. The culprits. Methane leaks and gas flaring. They're responsible for about half of it. The solution? There's a 5-step plan using technology we already have. The impact? It would be massive, the same as getting rid of all cars and trucks on the road.
And the reality? Well, the ambition is there, but the action just isn't keeping up.
So the International Energy Agency has laid it all out with, undeniable clarity. The problem is understood, the solutions are on the table, and the potential benefit is just monumental. The roadmap exists, the technology is ready. Really, the only question left is the one on your screen. Will we actually follow it?